All right. Welcome, welcome. I don't see you. I can hear you, but I can't see you.
You can't see me?
No.
Wow.
So
Hold
I'll
on.
do the intro while you figure out why I can't see you.
Hold on. That's weird.
So again, welcome to the show. This is Keeping It Real Conversations with Sunshine. I am your host. I can see you now. It is Wednesday, November the 3rd, 2021. Again, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. Like and share is the name of the show. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Spotify, Groove Radio, Detroit.com, Mixcloud, Twitch, and there's one more, but I can never remember. However, find us however you can. I believe in 6 degrees of separation. We are one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be on in your destiny. So again, tonight has been just fabulous. I just got off with the comedian, well-known comedian, Rodney Red Grant. And now I have my last guest for this evening, well-known author, life coach, William Brooks. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
What's up, sister? I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on your platform. I appreciate you.
Thank you again for taking the invitation. I might say that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Absolutely.
Again, when I say 6 degrees of separation, I have to let people know how I know you. So I believe Corey McClure, and I just brought his name up a few minutes ago. Um, he told me about you a couple of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
in somewhere in 2017, 2018. Um, and he told me again the other day about you. And he said, I have somebody I believe you need to talk to, and he needs to be on your show. And so I said, who? And he said, you. And I immediately went on and got in touch with you to make sure that this would happen. And I know for a fact that I will not be disappointed in the conversation tonight. So I
No.
did tell them that you are an author and you are a life coach. So tell them about your book.
The title of my book is The Three No's That Every Successful Young Man Should Know. The book came from, just to give you a background on the book, it came from a thought process that I had. I've been a barber since 1997. However, I don't actively cut hair anymore. I was cutting hair in Atlanta, Georgia. And my thought process was when I got a young man in my chair, I got 35 minutes to not only put a good haircut on his head, but put some in his head. And so I would talk to him and I would tell them about success and the things that you need to do to be successful and the things that you don't want to do. And so there were three things that I learned from growing up on the east side of Detroit. Shout out to Mac and Fisher, 48214. It's things I learned that coming up in my neighborhood, there were three things that young men did, including myself. I had two of them that can kind of keep you or hinder you from being successful. And that was number one, messing up your credit. And I would tell young men, you don't want to ruin your credit. And number two, if you could at all avoid it, don't have no children by a woman that's not your wife. Take your time and make sure you cultivate a relationship with a woman and make her your wife before you talk about having children. And also don't get no police record, i.e. a felony. And those three things, I've run into young men that were under 25 that had all three. And so that became my passion as I used that as my platform as a barber. And many years later, 2017, fast forward, I put that in a book. And so I wrote a 7-chapter book, 120 pages. And I outlined those three things along with some other good stuff. What's a wage garnishment? You know, the ramifications of an unplanned pregnancy and things of that nature. But the whole thought process, of it came from being a barber and working in the barbershop and just trying to encourage young people to be successful and giving them those three tips.
So I know on the flip side of when you go into a beauty shop, we know that as soon as you sit in and just waiting on you to get in the chair, you're gonna hear every conversation under the sun. So with that being said, being in a barber shop and sometimes did you have other people working in there with you in
Oh,
the
absolutely.
barbershop?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a barber beauty salon. The sisters was on the other side and had barbers on my side. Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you heard all types of conversations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times the conversations can go from hearing the juicy gossip to, and your thing is muted.
I can hear you.
I don't know why it's showing that you're muted.
Hold on.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. So
Okay, cool.
you can hear all the juicy gossip. You can hear advice. You can hear what's the latest from sports on up. In that time that you were in the barbershop, what is some of the things that you learned from hearing other things in the barbershop?
I learned that in our community, as so-called Black, a lot of stuff that relates to family and things that, totally unrelated to my book, I guess you could. Typical conversation, typical you hear in the show, such as, people not on with their family members,
Hold on, you guys.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Hold on. We're gonna work. We're gonna work it out.
Yep. I can, okay, I can see you. Hold on. It's trying.
It's rain where I'm at. Storming outside. You see now?
It's a no, I can't see you. It's a black screen.
Okay, storming where I'm at. If you know anything about Houston, Texas, it's a lot here. Maybe get it.
Oh. Okay, you guys, just waiting.
Hold on.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
That is crazy. Hold on. Trying to get it back. It's storming. Y'all bear with me. Storming here in Houston. It knocked out my signal. Give me a second.
Okay.
I'm gonna go and come back.
Okay. Okay, that's much better.
Is that better? Can you see me now?
Oh no.
How about now?
I can see you. Yes, I can hear you. Okay, where were we at? In the barbershop, right?
Yeah, you're talking about the barbershop and conversations, and I was saying that just the typical how conversations go in barbershops and beauty salons, the back and forth, typical stuff.
So what was your experience as a to get you to the point of being a life coach?
Well, I was always that guy that people call, like especially men, dudes call for advice. Call and ask me for advice. What you think about this, Will? What you think about that? I'm dealing with this in this romantic relationship. I'm dealing with this at work. I'm dealing with this, that, and the other. And because I probably have had every experience upon the planet that you can have at age 51. And so I have a large amount of reference that, people know they can call and they can get some information from me and get some good sound advice. And so I was doing that for free. And so at some point, I came into the knowledge of what a life coach was in 2016, 2017. I took the classes, got the certification, and turned it into, I guess, a business, And right now, I have several clients, uh, uh, adult clients. I have young clients because I do a lot of youth mentoring as well. So I kind of group that into the life coaching. So because I started out, like I said, just talking to people for free, because that's always been my passion. I tell people all the time, like, if you don't know what you came here to do, ask yourself what you would do for free. When you can find out what you would do for free, then you know what you came here to do. I think it's a scripture in the book. It says, wherever your treasure is, your heart will be also. So wherever you like to do, you love to do, your passion, the money will find you. And I didn't really jump into it to get money. However, I've been very successful, financially, but I just came from a perspective of just wanting to help people. And so I took the classes and took the course and got the certification to be a certified licensed life coach. And it's been working out good for me financially and spiritually.
That's good. Now, as a life coach, I think we talked about it. You became certified, right?
Absolutely.
So was that like an online thing, or was it like going to school to actually be a life coach?
No, actually, it was an online course that I took for, I think it was like 10 weeks. It's like a 10-week online course where we actually had homework and, you had to do different presentations and things like that and interview people and, you know, um, actually work for it. But yeah, it was like a 10-week course that I took online. And then once the completion, I got my certification. That was once again back in 2017, 2018, 2018. I'm sorry.
Okay. So with being a life coach, do the school that you graduated or got your certificate, or however that is, do they send you clients, or you just put out there that this is what you're doing and people started reaching out to you?
No, I go for my own. I don't let on nobody to send me anything. No, they don't send me clients. No, I just do what I do. I present myself. I go out, pass out my cards. I utilize my social media, um, word of mouth, of course, and I do my own marketing from whatever I do, whether it's my book, whether it's life coaching, youth mentoring. I promote myself. Uh, no, they don't do nothing for me, not at all. They gave me my certification, and I tucked it under my arm and I ran.
Mm-hmm. So what is one of the main, as a life coach, what is one of the main things that you see often? or subjects do you see often?
People not knowing what they want to do. People, and I'm saying from many ages, whether they're 25, 35, or 45, a lot of people are very perplexed and confused as to what they want to do. A lot of people that I run into, they do things that are very lucrative for them on a financial level, but they're 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 spiritually uh deficient. Like they ain't happy with what they're doing, but they
Right.
make a lot of money. And I tell people all the time, like, success does not necessarily equate to financial success. You know, success means what's in your heart and doing what you came here to do. So I run into a lot of people that they may be making 100K, but they go to work every day and they miserable.
Miserable.
They
Yes.
can stand what they do. They hate it. And so what I do, I come in, once again, I ask people, what would you do for free? You know, because you went to school, you got a college degree or what have you, that doesn't mean that that is your life purpose. You know, I always use a quote by one of my mentors, the late great Dr. Miles Monroe, says, you know, none of us were born with a job, but we were all born with a gift. And once
Right.
you find your gift, you'll find your purpose and you find your happiness and your peace. And so that has become a platform as a part of my life coaching. When I talk to people, I ask people, what's in your heart, not what you try to get in your pocket.
Right. I would tell this to anybody. I was groomed, and you remember DAPSEP, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I was in DAPSEP since, I want to say, elementary, middle school for sure, and high school, thinking that I was going to go to college and become a computer engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when the era when, computers was it. And I get to college and they throw all this math at you. And I'm like, oh no, this is not it. And, at the time it was the figures. And
Yeah.
I remember my mom and my counselor, guiding counselor, would say, you want to pick a career that you feel is going to last.
Yeah.
That not only is going to last, but it's going to be something you like.
Yeah.
And of course, you start going through these courses and you like, I don't think I'm going to like this. And so I'm thinking to myself, all this time I've been going to DAPSEP, sacrificing my Saturdays and doing all of this, and I don't become a computer engineer.
Wow.
I sit down in a counselor office at the University of Michigan, and she says, basically, what do you like doing?
Yeah. Wow.
Outside of sports, what do you like
Wow.
doing? And I'm like, I like helping people. I whatever I know, I share.
Yeah.
And she said, well, why haven't you ever thought about being a teacher?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't want to be, I'm not saying, please listen, I'm not saying that I turn my nose up at teachers, because that's not what I just said. I'm just saying I didn't want to become a teacher.
Right.
Um, and so I noticed that as a teacher, you don't get paid enough to be any and everything to these students.
Right.
And I still can't wrap my brain around how a teacher can teach us everything, touch every um profession there is,
Right.
and they're paid the less. I
Right.
still don't get that. Like,
Right.
you can't become anything without a teacher.
Well, I've always said that they are the most disrespected people as far as careers, you know, in at least in this country. And I happen to be the product of a Detroit public school teacher. My mother is retired. My mother has been teaching the third grade since I was in the third grade. And I used to go to the school, you know, when I got out of high school, of course. And I watched my mother teach, and I saw that she had to like try to keep order before she could even teach. like she couldn't even teach. Like she had to sit down and stop and leave that alone and give me a seat. And, you know, in these education is the essence of everything. So how is a teacher not compensated on the level of, to me, a ball player? Because you got to have education to do whatever it is that you want to do. So they're, to me, they're the most disrespected career people, lack of better words, that I can see. And I always say, I have a saying, if you ain't gonna pay the teachers, then you better pay the police.
And that's real. I've seen it. Teachers put their heart and souls. They're everything. They're the parent. They're the every aspect of life
Everything.
they become. And teachers do not
Counselors.
get paid enough.
That's
And
right.
one of the another reasons why I know for sure is when they were shut down and parents had to be the teacher.
Yeah.
And you had to understand your child is not as innocent as they say.
That's right.
Your child attention span is like that.
Yeah. That
And now
COVID
you
taught them a
have to
lot.
become the teacher.
COVID opened the eyes
Oh,
of a
yes,
whole
it
lot.
did.
It really did. Yeah,
Oh, yes, it did. And I
shut
feel
down work from
like
home
after they went through that, y'all should have doubled or tripled their salary.
all day long. But you know, I think, you know, it's just a lack of respect. You know, it's a lack of respect because I've always, it's funny we having this conversation. I've always said that, and that's some things that we would talk about in the barbershop, that teachers, they don't make the money that they deserve, and then they dealing with your children all day long, and they breaking up fights, and they can't teach. And, you know, once again, it's the essence of everything. You can't do nothing without education. So how are you not paying the teachers who begin everything you do? Whatever you do, you got to have an education. So how do you not
Absolutely.
pay them? It's crazy.
I,
But it's
I
a lack
I
of
I
respect.
couldn't understand it. Now, there are professions who, okay, you deserve that type of money, but we really, and I don't know who we need to talk to, but teachers need to have, I would say, on the level of a doctor's pay,
Absolutely.
or if not more.
I say on the level of the first round draft pick, you know, to the Celtics. I'm serious. They need to make ball player money to me. I mean, have you ever been in a room for 8 hours with some kids?
Multiple kids with
Yeah,
multiple personalities.
yeah. That ain't no joke.
You
And you
got
got to not
some
only
that's
manage the
home
room,
training. Oh God.
you got to teach them. They coming from different points of life. You know, they not getting along, so you breaking up fights before you can teach. Like I said, I used to go up to the school and watch what my mother did, and I was like, I don't know how you do this. This is amazing. So you absolutely right, sis.
Yeah. My sister is a teacher. I have aunts and uncles that were teachers. And just being my own personality, I probably would be in jail
Oh yeah,
from snatching
absolutely,
somebody's child up.
absolutely. I don't know
I
how to.
have no tolerance at all.
I mean, especially the high school students. Like, how do you, you know, some of them, you know, I'm 6'1", you know, 200 pounds. Some of these cats in 10th grade my size. There's
Oh
nowhere to
yeah,
run.
it is. I've seen my uncle was a teacher at my old high school, and he had a fight with a couple of students.
Yeah,
And from that point, a lot of the teachers was like, it's not worth it. Where I had to defend myself, because the lack of respect, the lack
yeah,
of, there's a point of getting your point across,
yeah,
but at the same time, when you take upon yourself to put your hands on me,
yeah.
all that other stuff goes out the door.
Well, you ain't even got to
So
do that much with me, as I'm old school. You talk to me sideways, we're gonna have a problem. Because I don't play no games with that. Because I didn't grow up like that. You know, I didn't grow
yeah.
up in that generation. You know, my grandma passed away. God rest her soul. 2013. My grandma was 95 years old. Okay, my grandma raised me since I was 14. So I grew up in a whole different generation where if grown folks said something to you, you couldn't even have a look on your face like you had a problem. There was no
And you're
talking
gonna get
back.
smacked.
I don't know nothing about that, talking back. And now we live in a generation where it's not even called talking back no more. It's called, oh, they're expressing themselves. I didn't grow up like that. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't imagine being around some children that would be, 16, 17. Hell, if you're 25, you're a child of me. And if you talk to me sideways, we're gonna have a serious problem. And so I once again, I salute these teachers because I absolutely couldn't do it. I couldn't. It's a whole nother generation we live in. The world has certainly changed.
Yeah, I was a youth director for 10 years at a church. And of course I had children that were military brats.
Mm-hmm.
And they were used to getting their way, some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I had parents who, because they were gone so much, they just threw money or materials at their child.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, we're gonna stop that, because at the end of the day, you're setting them up for failure.
Absolutely.
You can't do that, because everybody's not going to give in. Everybody's not going to give them their way. What are they going to do? Going to have tantrums on the floor? We can't do that. And so the conversation had to be, okay, what do you want to do? What paths are you making? Just like you had to step in as a guidance counselor, as a life coach. I was doing these things for free, because at the end of the day, like this year, the Lord told me that I was going to become the help that I once needed.
Right.
And so when he gave me this podcast, he said, you have always been a connector.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing, I don't get paid to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet.
Right. It's coming.
But I love doing this, because at the end of the day, somebody has to come on and tell the real story, tell the truth, tell that you almost was homeless, or you were homeless, and now look at you now. Don't tell me. I said I can jump and shout with you all day and congratulate you all day, but don't tell me the end story when you don't tell me the beginning or the middle of your story.
How you got there? Right.
I could appreciate it more if you told me, yes, I used to be a prostitute.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I used to do these things. I got the scars to prove it. Right. And now look at me now. I don't look like what I used to do. I don't look like.
Well, if we get into that, that's a whole nother interview. You have to come back and talk to me another time, and I could talk for at least a couple hours on that, because I used to do a whole lot that I got delivered from, a whole lot of stuff when I was young, and I'm blessed to be alive. I've had situations where I was supposed to die. I'm not supposed to be sitting here talking to you. I've had situations where I came within this close of losing my life, and I know it was only God that brought me about that situation. And since then, I've never been afraid of anything. I ain't scared of nothing. It don't matter what I run into, because I know the only reason I'm still here is because of God. So I certainly understand that.
Absolutely. So when you had those moments when, people count you out because of the neighborhood, when you told me you lived at by Mac, I was like, oh, if you may listen, anybody in this city, if you, especially Mac and Bewick, any of those, if you made it through them areas, you can make it anywhere.
I grew up on Mac and Fisher, between Charlevoix and Vernon. Shout out to my hood. Absolutely. 48214. I grew up over there, walking down the street, walking to what's that blue light market on Mac and Bewick. Yeah, I know. I grew up over there. That's where I come from. And I knew that at some point in my life that, it was other things out here in life, and I needed to reach out and find some other things. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I love my home. I will never talk bad about my home. I love my home. Detroit, the east side of Detroit made me who I am.
Absolutely.
For real.
East side, I grew up on Counters in Gunston on Chelsea.
Down by the 7th precinct right there.
I grew up over there. The
Yeah,
majority
I've
of
been in there.
yes. So I've seen it where, in the summertime, we had the swim mobile, we had the bookmobile, we had
Oh
all of
man.
these wonderful things to keep your imagination
Yeah.
running, to go beyond what you saw. Uh, was it always bad? No. Um,
No.
again, like I said, I grew up with the village.
Yeah.
Not only was it my school, it was my neighborhood, it was my family, my church family, all had parts in me being who I am.
And I speak to that a lot of times. I talk to people how times have changed. And when I grew up on the east side, like I grew up on that block on Fisher where my friends, like our parents were children together on that block. My grandmother moved on that block in like the 1940s. So like all my friends, our parents were kids together.
Mhm.
So our neighborhood was like family. Everybody was family. Anybody could check you. I could be down the street messing up, at 8, 9 years old, and Miss Thompson or Miss Smith would grab me and come down the street and say, "Hey, Miss Brooks, he was down the street doing X, Y, Z. I brought him home to you." And now we live in a time where neighborhoods are so transient where people don't even connect anymore because you don't know this person move in, this person move
Yeah,
out. You walk out the door, people don't even speak to each other. And that was in my reality coming up. Like I said, our neighborhood, everybody was family. And
absolutely.
you know what I mean? Everybody was family and loved each other.
Everybody.
Yeah,
And everybody had permission. It's not about the whooping, but everybody had permission to, like you said, check
to
them,
check
to
you.
speak to them. I have several times where I got whooped down the street for being bad.
Yeah,
Got brought home, got whooped. Then when daddy came home from work, got another whooping. And when my grandma found out and I went to go see her, I got whooped 2 weeks later after something I just did.
that's right.
So again, my youth pastor was involved in my schooling. So everybody had a say so in my life that yes, did I make bad decisions? Yes.
Right, we all did.
Did I grow from them? Yes, because again, I can remember when the world was more caring and loving toward each other.
It like the book say, it takes a village. And it was a village that raised children. It wasn't where, oh, I ain't got nothing to do with that. That ain't my kid. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Now we got people, they're afraid to say something to kids. I'm not. I'll say something to kids all the time. If I see a kid doing something wrong, I'm gonna say something to you. I'm gonna say it respectfully,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna say something to you because I don't come from this new school of thought where, oh, I don't have nothing to do with your kid because I don't know you. No, that's a child. And that's what we put here to do. If we see a child doing something wrong or putting themselves in a position to hurt themselves, that's what that generation knew. And
Yeah.
and it was all love. It wasn't like that.
It was definitely that like seeing children walking around who really not that stable with suckers in their mouth, right?
Right.
I'm instantly in mama mode, like you need to sit down with that because I already see if you fall, it's a wrap. Don't
Oh man,
cry.
man.
Don't do it. Don't
We grew
cry.
up
Don't do anything when you see the potential and you don't do anything.
right. But you know what, sis, that's that that's that God in us that was passed on from our grandparents. Our grandparents had that type of God love in them and they passed it down to us. And I hate to believe that like we the last of a dying breed. So I try to pass that on when I can to people younger than us. So, at least some of them will have what was put into us. because as a majority, you really don't see that anymore. Everybody's become just so selfish and
Selfish, yeah.
about themselves, and I didn't see that. One thing, and I want to give my grandma a shout out, give my grandma some love. I saw my grandmother walk up and down the block, and she fed all the old people, like all my friends' grandmothers, as they got sick. My grandmother would make plates of food. That's back when, people cooked food every day. And my
Every
grandma,
day.
every day, my grandma cooked food. We didn't grow up on McDonald's and Wendy's and Chick-fil-A. My grandma cooked. And so she would make a plate, walk it down the street, walk it across the street. She say, well, stay in the house. I'll be right back. I got to go across the street to take care of Miss Mildred. Her husband got to go to the bank. She in a wheelchair. They had that love, and that support from one another. And that has become lost in our generation, where we don't even see each other as family like that no more.
Yeah, that's true.
And we got to get back to that. Seeing each other as family. That generation, they saw each other as family. And they taught us to do the same thing.
Absolutely. It's very refreshing. I shouldn't be able to, just off of some conversations, I could tell the age. I could tell, yeah, you don't know no better. And then you have those moments like I work in a clinic, and it's getting cold here, of course. And so a young mother was, I think she's pregnant now.
Mm-hmm.
She already had a child, and she was out without nothing on her head, but she had her hair braided.
Wow.
And so my first thought was, honey, it's cold. And she's like, yeah, yeah. Now I have a hat on. Now, mind you, my hair is short. So your head is open.
Right.
And so I said, yeah, you need a hat on. And she said, I just went and bought my baby a hat and some gloves and all of this stuff. And I went out the house without no hat on. And so she immediately was like, but you still got to do better.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be sick. You carrying.
Right.
Can't take medicine like everybody else because you're carrying.
Right.
And so it has to go back to life coaching as a lifestyle.
Right.
Not just doing it for money or anything like that. It's just the simple things.
Right.
I have a spiritual mother. I have several spiritual mothers, right? Really, who talks to me on a regular, learning how to be a wife, learning how to be a mother, learning how to be you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just you. I mean, as we always say, at 20 something, you think you've grown, you think 5 months down the line, something you was so passionate about, you might not like anymore.
Yeah, well, you ain't grown at 25. I mean, and that's the thing that people don't understand. For the past 25 years of your life, somebody been taking care of you, at least 20 of them. You ain't grown. I say this all the time because your birth certificate say 18. That don't make you grown. What makes a person grown is going through adversity, and learning things in life. But you're right. When you're 25, you be thinking you're grown, but and as you get older and you look back in hindsight, you be like, wow, I didn't know nothing. I know I do. I'm like, I didn't know nothing at 25. And you thought you were smart, but you don't. And you're right. It's our job as the older generation now to look back and, pull these kids up. And once again, somebody 25 is a child.
Yeah, I think being honest and transparent and being yourself speaks more volume than going out just saying, pointing a finger and not explaining the why.
Exactly.
When you have gone through a divorce and hindsight looking back, you be like, why didn't nobody tell me this? You going in thinking that it's a fairy tale, that you're gonna be all on Happy Street 24/7.
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
No, sir.
Not at all. No. No.
It says that two become one. So that means you came from a different uprising, so did I. And we had to mend and come together as one.
But what people don't understand is that two becoming one flesh, and I know that scripture, that process is something serious. Becoming that one flesh. That don't just happen through osmosis. That two becoming one flesh is a process. It could be pain, it could be frustration, it could be a whole lot. That don't just happen. That two becoming one flesh. That's a process.
Process is experience, is communication, it's everything all boiled into one. And what we get brainwashed with is what we see in movies, what we see in or hear in a song. Like, it's more to it than sex, okay? It's more to it than looking fine. It's listen, your body changes every day.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta look at you. I have to communicate with you beyond the just your fleshy stuff.
Exactly.
What, and I said this before, I said, what conversation, if you started off in a sexual mindset, if your genitals don't work no more,
God forbid.
what you
Lord,
gonna do?
that's a problem.
It's a for better, for worse, to death do us part, all of these things, anything could happen.
But the funny thing
Are you
is,
still gonna be faithful?
but that's usually the reason. I know, at least in our community, the very things that the vows we take, it be the things that we leave for better, for worse,
We don't.
sickness and
This is
health,
what I'm
rich and
saying.
poor.
We go to the, I want to get married. I want to get married. Are you sure?
Right. Do you want a marriage or do you want a wedding? Those two different things.
And just to even go off that, we have been taught for years, even with the wedding, that you want to spend all this money, all this, and it has nothing really to do with you. The
No,
wedding, the reception is for the people. It's not really you.
no, it just feel good.
So now you on this expensive dress, tux, whatever. You got to live the next day. So a lot of stuff we have been taught in error.
Absolutely.
And so now it's our responsibility, those who have been there, done that. Let's speak up. Let's talk about it. Let's have a real conversation.
Yeah.
Like, there's some things that we do not talk about until it's the after effect. Like, is it mental illness in your family? Do you know?
I think that people don't take enough time, and I can say for myself, I've made that mistake. That's how I know, to even get to know that, and we ignore certain red flags going into these entanglements, that we falsely label relationships and not really know who we dealing with. We don't get to know people the way we need to know people. We don't get to meet that person's mother or that person's uncle or that person's best friend, because whoever your best friend is, they're your best friend for a reason. And maybe it's some things that I can see in your best friend that you might not show me, that I need to be around your best friend to understand and know why he or she is your best friend. And we don't do that. And we just get enamored in physical things, i.e., usually, I call it the ice cream and cake stage of the relationship, where everything is beautiful and you're holding hands, you're walking on the beach, and things are good, and you really haven't gotten an opportunity to really get to know that individual. And I always say that you really don't know where any relationship is going until you determine how you get over adversity, How do you get over that first argument? If you ain't had an argument or fell out with that person, how do you really know who you're dealing with? You don't. You're in the ice cream and cake stage. But any relationship that's evolving, there are going to be some issues. And if we haven't had an issue, how do we really know if we're compatible? We're basing it upon ice cream and cake.
Yeah, which melts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And ice.
It changes, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of stuff. Yeah, we had to go through, the heartaches, the bumps and pains, crying, trying to figure things out, and there's still things that you still learn about yourself in your 40s, your 50s, that you didn't realize. You never stop learning.
I learn stuff about myself every morning. Trust me, it don't never stop. It don't ever stop. I'm 51 years old. I learn stuff about me every day that I didn't know yesterday. So absolutely, you're gonna keep, as long as you open to be honest with yourself, you're gonna keep learning. Not everybody learns about themselves every day, because some people are in denial, and they're stuck. They don't. You know what I mean? They don't. They can't be honest with themselves and say, you know what? Wait a minute, I could have done that different, or maybe I should do this way. Not everybody's like that. So you have to be careful around these individuals, because everybody, no matter who you are, you're constantly evolving as long as you're living on this planet. And you're changing, and you're learning, at least you should be learning new things every day.
Absolutely. And we have to, look at it that way. I know things that used to bother me before don't bother me, or things that bother me then don't bother me now, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that some things have, like, okay, it wasn't that deep back then. Now it's, a whole conversation, like things, and then putting yourself in a win-win situation. You
Mm-hmm.
start to hang around with different people, hang around people that inspire you to be a better you. Um, Pick up a book and read. How about that?
Come on now. Come on. Absolutely. Come on. I know a good one that they need to read, but yeah, absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
three no's. How about
Every
that?
successful young man should know. That's a good one. It's on Amazon right now. Absolutely. But yeah, you gotta constantly be evolving, and people don't. And I don't hang around people that I can't evolve around. And I always tell people, if you got people in your circle and they're not encouraging you, and you can't encourage them to be better, and especially if they're to your detriment, you got to get away from those people. I don't be around negative people. I've gotten off the phone with people immediately. If I hear you come out with something negative and your whole conversation is negative, I'm not going to be offended with you. That's just who you are, but I'm gone. I'll talk to you in a minute. And you probably won't hear from me for a while. But I don't entertain that, because it's contagious. And when you take on that, it's an energy, and people don't understand. It's deeper than just, oh, this person just said something. That's an energy that can attach to your energy, and it can bring you down and keep you from where you're trying to go. You have to keep people around you that's feeding that same energy to you that you're exuding into the universe. And if you don't, and you got negative people, you wonder why you praying for certain things and you believing for certain things, where it's these people with this negative energy force upon them that you keep in company with, that's blocking the blessings from getting to you, because you got this negative energy around you. It's not personal. Okay, I may have known you since I was 5 years old and I still love you, but I can't kick it with you like that. You got to go on over there with that.
So I always ask, also in the interviews, what is something that people might be surprised that you either like or you don't like?
That's a good question. Wow, I like or I don't like. I like country music.
Really?
I love country music. Honestly, I love all genres of music. I love country music. I do because it always
The
it tells a
story.
story. Yeah, it tells a story. Um, I don't just necessarily like R&B or rap music, although I do, but I love country music. Yeah, I listen to country music sometimes when I'm by myself.
So like Garth Brooks or any of them be playing?
All of those, all of those. Definitely Garth Brooks, absolutely. Well, whatever I can find, I put on country music right here on my computer, and whatever come up, and I listen to it. And I love country music. What's his name? Kenny Rogers. Yeah.
Yeah, my parents were very diverse when it came to music. So my mom liked Elvis Presley.
Mm-hmm.
My dad liked Kenny Rogers. My dad listened to pretty much he listened to the blues, he listened to country, he listened to R&B. It was I wouldn't be surprised of anything that was being played in my house. So it wasn't just R&B and gospel. They listened to all types of music.
I,
So I'm kind of when I was in school at U of M, my study time, I was actually listening to classic music.
Classical.
I had
Okay. Yeah.
Mozart playing,
Yeah.
um, things like that. So I was not um, one to just be like, oh, I just want to listen to rap. Actually, I don't even care for rap.
Well, see, you, different music is recorded on different frequencies. I'm
Hmm.
very much into energy.
Okay,
And
energy.
so depending on what you listen to, it could take your mood into a different energy field. That's like if you listen to certain songs, like something full of a bunch of cursing and F this and F that and F you, then it's easy to come home and curse out your lady or be
Hmm.
cursing at your kids. If you've been listening to that all day, then you're on that frequency. But if you're listening to some jazz, you listen to some smoothed out R&B, it's going to put you in a different energy field. And so those energy fields different things in your life. And so that's why if you listen to, and I'm not a fan either of rap. I'm a fan of hip hop. And I feel like rap commandeered hip hop at some point. And so all this cursing and this negativity, I mean, it's definitely contributed to a lot of brothers getting killed, going to jail, stuff like that, because what's in it, it's an energy field. So I'm very careful about what I feed into my temple.
It's mood music, as they say. You know, anytime, let's be real, anytime that you want to go in that direction, you know what type of music, you know what type of artist, to put you in that place, in that mindset for your body to react to what you're listening to. So that's absolutely true. Again, what about what would your children say about you?
They would say that I'm one of the greatest fathers on this planet,
Hmm.
and that I love them and they love me, and I've created a relationship with them that can never be broken. Um, they would salute me. That's what I live for, to make sure that when I leave here, all this other stuff don't matter, like life coach, best-selling author, youth mentor, I'm a speaker, all that stuff is great. But my first job is a father. And so my children would say that they had the greatest father that they could have ever had. Like, I ain't got a whole lot of money, but I don't determine my fatherhood or my level of being a good father based on how much money I make, but how much time I spend with my kids and what I teach my kids and the love that I display to my kids and teach them that, you know what, who they gonna be one day when I'm not here no more. So my kids would say that they had the greatest father that they could have ever had in their experience here on this earth.
Good. So, um, Where can they actually buy your book?
I would prefer you buy it from me, but you can get it on Amazon. You can hit me up at, you can email me, williambrooks.tex, which is short for Texas, at outlook.com. That's my email address. You can send me a friend request on Facebook and message me. If you go to William Brooks on Facebook, you see my background picture with me and my mentor, the great Les Brown. You can send me an inbox message. You can connect with me on Instagram at williambrooks.det. So once again, I would prefer that you get it directly from me, where I can autograph it, personalize it for you or whoever you want me to send it to. And also it's available on Amazon. You just go to Amazon Books and type in the three no's every successful young man should know. And you can get the book right there. They usually ship it within 48 hours.
So after this series, will you actually do one towards the ladies?
I'm working on that right now. I'm actually in the third chapter. Yeah, I'm working on that right now. Absolutely. Because I'm actually writing that book. It's going to be for all ladies, for all females, but actually I'm my whole purpose, what gave me the motivation, I'm writing it for my daughters.
Will they have us? I mean, will they have an insert in it?
Possibly. We'll see.
I can see that.
I can't give it away.
Absolutely, but I feel that.
Okay.
Well, I know an hour go past so fast when you're having fun, having a real conversation. You in your spot, I'm on my couch. Again, I want everyone to like and share this video. I want you to support William and what he's doing, not only as one of a great author, but also as a life coach, as a youth mentor. We have to have these type of people in our arenas to push the world in a better place. Just like Red Grant said earlier, we have to go back to love, caring, and respecting one another. And William basically said the same thing. We have to go back to loving and caring on one another. Go back to the village. The village is what saved us. And no matter what neighborhood you come out from, you can still, I don't want to say escape, you can still evolve, you can still go back and help those who are still there, or you could just take what you learn and go somewhere else. Help everyone around you. This is what we're here for. This is what we have been created for, to help one another, to love one another, to spread good news to one another, that, you know, every day that you have breath in your body, take the opportunity to love not only yourself, but the people around you. Especially when you go outside your door and you see your neighbor, you go to the store, you see someone who's in need. How about you go pay for somebody's groceries? Do something that you want to happen to you, not necessarily if it does, but think of someone else. And this is what life coaching is all about.
Absolutely. If I can say this before I go, if I can leave one thing here.
Yes.
One thing I talk about in detail in the book, I talk about teaching young people how to date and teaching young people how to go the right way to venture into having families. A lot of times, you know, our families, we broken up. You know, we get together and we have babies and we're not even together by the time the baby gets to daycare. You know, we ain't even together no more. Baby starting the first day of daycare. Baby ain't even made to the first, second grade. We ain't together. Baby starting daycare and we broken up. Well, why? Because a lot of times we don't take the correct steps in dating, you know, and knowing what we should do and what we shouldn't do and the do's and don'ts. And I kind of touch on that in the book as well, because my goal with this book is to get us as so-called Black people back to the dual parent household. Well, we ain't baby mamas and baby daddies, but you know, your mama and your daddy is in the same household. And by the time we grown, our mama and our daddy still together and actually modeling and showing us what we need to do, how we need to date, and what we need to look for. A lot of us become bad mothers or bad fathers because we simply didn't have it correctly modeled for us. And so that's my goal, to bring back the return of the dual parent household, like my grandmama and my granddad.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to getting the book and making sure that you're successful in what you do as well on my end. And when the next book comes out or you're doing something else, please let me know. I will have you back on the show to do just that, to promote wellness.
Absolutely.
Wellness. So thank you again for coming on the show. I appreciate it. I know you were very comfortable. You had nothing to worry about.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you,
You
sister.
again, and you enjoy the rest of your evening. Be safe since it's storming in Houston.
Thank you, sister. I appreciate you having me on. You be safe. God bless you as well. And I wish nothing but the best for you.
Thank you so much. All right.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Peace.